Clap it up, everybody. Clap it up. Do you know why? Because we're one day away from the Baltimore Ravens playing football. We've made it. Hug your mom, hug your sister, hug your brother, hug your dad, hug your neighbor, whoever. Just hug somebody because we are almost there. And I couldn't be more excited. Today on Ravens Rundown, we've got projected starters for tomorrow night's matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm Joey Petersen. Thanks so much for tuning in to Ravens Rundown. And speaking of this game tomorrow, we're going to need you to do something. Like the video, okay? Hit that thumbs up button. If you want the Ravens to win tomorrow, just like the video. Don't jinx it, okay? I'm a superstitious guy myself, especially when it comes to my football teams. So go ahead, hit that like button. Don't jinx it. Let's go beat the Chiefs. Going into the starters. QB, no surprises here. We got the two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Running back, we've got Derrick Henry. And I don't know about you guys, but I am so excited to see King Henry in this backfield. And I know that a lot of you guys like Gus Edwards, and a lot of you like the running backs the Ravens have trotted out there in the past couple of years. But Lamar Jackson has never played with a running back to the caliber of Derrick Henry's entire career. There's very few quarterbacks in NFL history that have played with running backs that are of Derrick Henry's caliber. And so just so excited to see what he does to this Baltimore Ravens offense this year. And then a tight end, Mark Andrews. I know Isaiah Likely, a lot of you guys are fans of. Mark Andrews is still the tight end one on this roster. There's no changing that. Unless Likely just absolutely balls out this year, which I think he might, and I hope he does. But as of right now, Mark Andrews, definite number one. Let's go to the wide receiver group. And this is an interesting group. And we'll talk more about him at the end of this list we're going over right now. Zay Flowers is your wide receiver 1. Your wide receiver 2, that's Rashad Bateman. And your wide receiver 3 is Nelson Agholor. And I like this group. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that I love them. Because honestly, guys, I think it could be a little bit better. And if you watch my bold predictions, one of my bold predictions was that the Ravens were going to get a wide receiver at the deadline. And because I just don't know, I'm really confident in Zay Flowers. Very confident in Zay Flowers. I don't know if Rashad Bateman and Nelson Agholor can be your wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3. If you look at their stats last season, Zay Flowers led the way with 858 yards. Rashad Bateman was behind him with 367, he had 367, then Nelson Agholor with 381. If you're going to have any type of success passing the football this season, you're going to need one of those two guys at the bottom to step up. You're going to need Rashad Bateman or you're going to need Nelson Agholor to get you 500 or 600 yards. Because I think Zay is going for 1,000. I think he's going for over 1,000. I think Mark Andrews is going to have a great season as well. I think you can throw Isaiah Likely in there. And I know the Ravens run the ball a lot, so that takes away a lot of receiving yards. But still, you lost Odell Beckham Jr., a guy who gave you 500 last year. How are you going to fill in that production? You didn't add anybody in the wide receiver room except Deontay Hardy. I don't think he's going to be the guy to add in that 500 yards of production. So where are you going to get it? Because you need to get it from somewhere. And I think it's got to be Rashad Bateman or Nelson Agholor. I do. I think in order for this team to take a next step offensively, one of those two guys has to step up. So who do you guys think it is? Who goes for more this season? You think it's Rashad Bateman? You think it's Nelson Agholor? Let me know in the comments section. Type RB for Rashad Bateman. Type NA for Nelson Agholor. On to the offensive line. The position group that gets a lot of hate in the comments section. I'm not going to lie. Let's talk about it. Left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. Left guard, Andrew Voorhees. You got Tyler Linderbaum rocking that center position. He's been practicing without that non-contact jersey in the past couple days of practice, so it looks like he will be good to go. Right guard, Daniel Fa'alele. And then right tackle is Patrick McCarry. And there's been a lot of chatter in the past 2 or 3 weeks ago that, okay, Roger Rosengard is making that push to be your starting right tackle. But I think the Ravens might go with Patrick McCarry. And I don't think that's more of a slight on Rosengard. I think that's just like, okay, Patrick McCarry's a little bit more, not a little bit, he's a lot more veteran than Rosengarten is. And you're throwing him out there week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think it's that bad of a call to have Patrick McCarry in there as your starting right tackle. But again, a lot of complaints about this offensive line group. And there's going to be some growing pains with it, no doubt about that. But I still think at the end of the day, just because these are a lot of new faces doesn't mean that they're going to be bad. Todd Monken, offensive coordinator, the other day after practice was at the stands. He addressed a lot of the talk about the offensive line group himself. He said, first off, every one of them, besides Andrew Voorhees at left guard, those guys have been with us. And Andrew was with us last year. They've had a great offseason and a great camp. So we're real comfortable with them playing. Excited to see them play. It's time to go play and see. And again, there might be some hiccups along the way. In fact, there will be some hiccups along the way, but I still think this offensive line has a lot of potential. It's really hard to go out there and just say, okay, I want to get that offensive lineman, I want to get that offensive lineman, I want to get that one. Offensive linemen don't grow on trees. They're such a coveted position in the National Football League. It's not easy to go get them and sign them and trade for them or even keep them. We saw that with Kevin Zeitler and Morgan Moses and them leaving and company leaving the Ravens over the past offseason. But you got a homegrown group now. You got possibly Roger Rosengarten in there. You got Tyler Linderbaum. He's still young. He's only what? This is his third year. Andrew Voorhees. He's expected to make a really big jump when he's coming off of that injury that he suffered. And so you got a lot of new faces, but that doesn't mean they're going to be bad. I think the first couple weeks, again, might be some hiccups, but I think towards the middle and the end of the season, you're going to see this group hit their stride together, and I think you're going to be really surprised. So that's it for the offense. That's all 11 starters. Go ahead and give me a grade for that offense, A, B, C, D, or F. I think I am, let's see, am I going, I think I'm going A. You still got to go A. You have Lamar Jackson. You have Derrick Henry. I'm still going A, 100%. Now, before we move on to the defensive side of the ball, I want to shout out the sponsor of today's video, and that, guys, is Game Time. If you guys use any ticketing website other than Game Time, I'm sorry to tell you, you're doing something wrong because Game Time is the place to go for the best seats with the lowest prices guaranteed. If you can't wait for the season to be here tomorrow and want to get tickets to the big game locked down, you're going to want to give Game Time a shot. Game Time is the only place I go when I'm trying to get tickets to any college football or NFL game. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, Game Time Picks also identifies a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. Guys, Game Time's the best app, and my favorite thing about it is the fact that you can see the view from your seat before you even buy the ticket. Because I know I've gone to games and I bought tickets and I get there and I don't like my view. I've got something blocking it, or there's a pole, or there's a press box, or whatever it is. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, if only I would have seen this before, I wouldn't have spent that much money on this ticket. With Game Time, you don't have that problem. You can see what you'll be seeing at the game before you even buy it. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. On to the defense we go. Defensive tackle, Nnamdi Madubuike, not Justin Madubuike. Nnamdi changed his name in the past couple days. That's his Nigerian given name, and I think it's really cool. I love that. I love that name change. I love he's given honor to his family and his family roots and all that. And I think it's pretty sweet. Not gonna lie. But defensive tackle, you got Nnamdi Madubuike. Nose tackle, Michael Pierce. Defensive end, Travis Jones. And I want to talk a little bit about Travis Jones before I move on to our rusher, because this is a guy that we haven't seen a ton from him in his career, but I think we should expect to see a ton from him this season. John Harbaugh had glowing reviews in the past couple of weeks. He said, I have a big vision for Travis. He and I have talked about it, a really big vision. I really have high expectations for Travis Jones to be one of those years that is going to be memorable. I really believe that's going to happen this year. I'm looking forward to it. He's put the work in, and he continues to do work. He looks great. And the cool thing about Travis Jones is that he's learned from one of the best. He had this to say from basically sitting behind Nnamdi all last year. Since I got here, Madubuike has been a big role model for me. I've been looking up to him for the past 2 years, and just seeing what he did last year only gives me more motivation. And how can it not, right? Nnamdi had a phenomenal season last year, and I think Travis can do just the same. Awesome to hear glowing reviews from the head coach like that. And he didn't just say, like, oh, I expect him to have, like, a breakout year and contribute more. No, he said he expects him to have a memorable season. You don't hear a lot of head coaches saying that about players and putting that much pressure on them, but I think that's something that Travis Jones just welcomes. And then you got the rusher. You got at edge, Odafe Owe. And I think we should expect to see definite uptick in Odafe Owe's his production this year. He had a pretty solid season last year, but if he plays every single game that he's supposed to, right, if we get a full season out of him, I think it could be something special. And this group right here is one that has faced a lot of criticism over the offseason. They're not going to be able to get to the pass rusher as they did last year. 60 sacks last year. They're not going to be able to sniff that. Well, guys, 87% of their QB hits and 79% of their sacks from last year are still on this team. I know this is a stat I've talked about a lot, and I've shown this graphic a good amount of times because it's important to know. It's important to know that a lot of last year's production when it came to rushing the passer is still on this team. So don't get too down on them yet. They're going to be just fine. To the linebackers, Roquan Smith at that middle linebacker position. And then we got Trenton Simpson and on that weak side. And then, of course, you got our Sam Kyle Van Noy. One thing that I've got my eye on this year, and one thing I'm kind of questioning and looking at is how does Trenton Simpson look with Roquan Smith right next to him? How does the presence of Roquan Smith help Trenton Simpson? Because we saw Trenton Simpson have a really good preseason. He wasn't playing next to Roquan Smith. For that first game against the Eagles, he was playing Roquan Smith's position. And Roquan is one of those guys that he's not just great himself, he makes those around him great. So what can he do for Trenton Simpson's performances game in and game out? I think he can really elevate Trenton Simpson's game because when you're just surrounded by greatness, a lot of times it makes you great. And I think Roquan Smith has that effect on people. I think he's going to have that exact same effect on Trenton Simpson. On to the secondary, the last position group that we're looking at. We got cornerback 1, Brandon Stevens. Cornerback 2, Marlon Humphrey, coming back for this season with a vengeance. Free safety, Marcus Williams. And strong safety, Kyle Hamilton. Now, guys, I think that this is the strongest position group on this football team. And that's even without the highest graded rookie in the preseason. Right? I think those 4 are as strong as a 4 as this Ravens team has for a starting 4 on either side of the ball. And they don't even have in there the highest graded rookie in the entire preseason. Nate Wiggins came out with a 90.2 PFF grade. A 90.2. The first round pick out of Clemson. I expect him to do really big things this year. Is he going to be a starter Game 1 tomorrow night? Is he going to be lining up against Rashee Rice? I don't think so. I don't think he should. But I'm really excited to see him in live game action because we've really only seen him against guys who are wide receiver 2s, 3s. I'm excited to see him going up against the big dogs of the NFL. So grade the defense. You already gave the offense a grade. Go down there in the comment section and give the defense a grade. Is it A, B, C, D? I honestly give it a B+, maybe an A-. Okay? I think I'm leaning A for offense, A- for defense. I think it's going to be a really good year, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like the video. And more importantly than ever, tomorrow we got football. We're almost there, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. You guys have a fantastic Wednesday.